What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome in to another edition of MVP Games Live right here on either YouTube or you're watching it on Twitch. Either way, we thank you for spending your time with us. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Soapy Muffin.
Hey.
Soapy, it was distracting me because out of my periph here, right here, my little periph, I saw a little hair dangling down like a fucking dog hair, dangling down from my glasses. It was throwing me off. I had to pick it off. But how are you doing today? How is your hump day, your Wednesday going?
It's going okay. Just a regular day.
So
almost deep thoughted through the show, but I woke up in time.
Hey, I thought I had fucked everything up because for a second I was like, I hit you up on Discord. I said, yo, I'm going to have to take a shower because I only have one bathroom in the house. Got to wait until Ma gets out of the bath before I could shower. Just wanted to let you know. And then I sat down, and I'm like, yo, Soaps, what up? And I'm like, shit, I took too long. Soapy was like, nah, fuck this. I'm going into deep thought. I need to really think about some things of late. And I thought I lost you for a second, but I'm glad that I did not. We're able to have a show today because we're talking about some good things. One of which I know that you're going to be excited for. You were excited for when we did the Game Awards watch along, the live reactions, pardon me. We're going to talk about the Callisto Protocol from the makers of, what was it, Dead Space? Yeah, the Dead Space creators. We're going to talk about that because they did an interview with Polygon.com, so we're going to dive into that, kind of talk about what our expectations could be for that. We're also going to talk about things like EA buying out Codemasters, who have done a lot of racing games. Fortnite is copying Among Us. And then we got a bunch of shorties but goodies as well. Before we get into everything, though, let's go through the housekeeping. 1, 2, 3. First off, join the best community on the Discord, our best community on the internet. If you haven't already, that is our Discord. Link down below if you're on YouTube, or exclamation Discord. Get you into that link. If you're in Twitch right now, just put that into Twitch chat and it'll give you the link. If you like the show today, want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is how you go ahead and do that. Again, link is either down below or exclamation Patreon into Twitch chat. Get you the link. It's your way to support us and for us to give back to you, give you rewards like special interactions with the show, special content a week earlier before everyone else, or you could be like our Patreon sponsors, Pat Hill and Philly Sean, and get your name referenced at the beginning of every Games Live and Sports Live. And then last but not least, we're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids, but we are also on YouTube as well. MVP Entertainment is where you find our gaming and entertainment stuff. So go ahead, like, sub, and follow at both places. But Soapy, let's dive into the matter at hand. And the first thing we are talking about is the Callisto Protocol. And this was a trailer that we saw during the Game Awards. When we saw it, I was like, okay, what is this going to be? Because it showed a man getting eaten by an alien. And then we learned it was the Callisto Protocol. It's going to be kind of a sci-fi horror game it's going to take place on Callisto, which is a moon of Saturn. And Polygon has some quotes here that I'm going to kind of reference at different points. First off, right out the gate, they reference, and the one making all the comments, his name was actually, let's see, Schofield. Do they have his name written down here? Yeah, Glenn Schofield, who is the one of the ones at, is it Striker Development, I think it is, working on the game. Yeah, CEO and founder of Striking Distance, which is the developer working on this game. First quote they have from him, which is interesting, says, "I went to them and said, I'll give you a game studio, and here's the game I'd like to make." He envisioned the most terrifying game on next-gen platforms when he made his pitch for the Callisto Protocol last year. Schofield said PUBG Corp, now known as Crofton, or Crafton, however you want to pronounce that, gave him the okay, and they've largely let him alone over the last 18 months create that studio, which is Striking Distance, to develop the debut game. They revealed the trailer last Thursday at the Game Awards. Soapy, before I reference anything else from the article, you are one that was excited about this because it comes from the developers of Dead Space. What are your now that you've seen the trailer, you've had a little bit to digest the trailer, what are your first thoughts, your initial thoughts is what I'm really thinking of about the Callisto Protocol, and what are your early expectations for it?
My early expectations is I'm hoping it's more like the original Dead Space rather than the later ones.
What does that mean? For someone who hasn't played Dead Space, what do you mean by that?
The fact that, like, it's actually scary.
Okay.
Like, Dead Space 1, like, obviously, you know, if you're a person who's kind of, like, jumpy in horror games in general, like, they're all gonna scare you.
Yeah.
But, like, it's once you play, like, Dead Space 1, like, Dead Space 2 and 3 weren't scary. It was like, okay, this is the exact same thing as the first one. But, like, it slowly moved away from horror. The first one was, they had elements where, I think it was the first one that did this, I don't exactly remember. You couldn't pause the game.
Really?
Like, if you opened up menus. Yeah, I think it was, if you opened up menus, like, if you were scrolling through, like, maps and shit like that, like, the world was still moving around you. Or it's like, oh, okay, cool. You better hope to God you're alone when you do that.
I don't know how I feel about that in a single-player game. Like, the whole thing, and maybe this is a conversation for a Mold Breaker Monday down the line, but I feel like a lot more games are going into that kind of a mode of like, hey, your menu, just because you pulled it up doesn't mean the world stops around you. Me hearing that, I'm going as a single-player game. If you're playing an MMO like World of Warcraft, whatever, get over it. That's the type of game you got into. But for a single-player game, like, a game should be able to hit pause if you have to walk away from it, right?
Oh, like, if you, like, actually hit, like, the pause button, it pauses. But, like,
oh, okay.
If I just open up a menu to, like, look at my map, the world's not stopping.
Yeah. Okay, that's a little bit different. Because I know there are games out there that don't have a pause feature, where it's just, you hit start, it opens the menu, but hey, the world is still moving around you, which, to me, I'm kind of like, so great, I can't walk away from the game if I have to ever. It's basically, I'm playing this game, nothing's going to pull me away from it.
Yeah. And I hope they implement something like that, because it's one of those things that adds that extra horror feeling of like, oh, you know, if you need to step away, you have to actually pause the game. It can't be like, oh, like, I'm in the middle of doing that, like, I'm in the middle of combat, let me open my menu and move shit around. It's like, well, no, you have to actually be prepared going into a combat. Like, I hope that's something they decide to implement.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have it to where it's like, oh, I run into a big baddie and I forgot, like, oh, I forgot to fucking equip my other gun. Like, that's just kind of my early expectations of, I want them to focus more on the horror side rather than if it's like a shooter at all.
I mean, like, and one of the things I will throw out there and kind of take your pick with it. Before I do, I'll say the one thing that I love by reading through this article, looking at other places where Glenn Schofield has already talked about the Callisto Protocol, the kind of vibe that I am getting from it is that this kind of seems like a passion project for him, to where it's like, I wanted to make this game, I had to pitch this game to PUBG Corp, who's also, I think now, Crofton, however you want to say it, or however it's pronounced, had to pitch the idea to them in order for Striking Distance to even be made, and for this game to even be made. The first quote I'm going to reference from the article, though, and take this however way you want, Soapy. It says, "I love horror, and I love sci-fi," Schofield said. "I'll watch any horror movie, no matter how bad. And with sci-fi, they can get pretty bad. When I get to see a good one, it's just gravy for me. I spent the last 10 years making Call of Duty, which has been really good for me, or really good to me. I really love making Advanced Warfare because it was a little bit in the future, but it was time to get back to something that I really love. And sci-fi horror is where it's at for me. So like, yet again, as someone who hasn't played Dead Space, I kind of look at this and go, it kind of sounds like everything that you want, to where it's like, if you're worried about, hey, is this game actually going to be scary? It sounds like the roots are there with Schofield, where it's like, hey, I don't want this to be some bad sci-fi, because there's a lot of bad sci-fi out there. I want this to be the good one. I want this to be the gravy kind of, and like maybe, and also maybe it sounded like in this quote of like, hey, it was good to go work on Call of Duty. Maybe I'm going to take some things from that experience, put them into this game, especially with gunplay and stuff. Maybe he takes some influences that he had with Advanced Warfare, but it really sounds like, hey, I want to get back to the roots. I want to get back to the original thing that I got into this biz for, and to make a really good sci-fi game.
Yeah, and especially I think it's one of those things that it's not going to be too hard to make a sci-fi horror game, because it's one of those things that obviously if he's a horror addict, he understands what makes horror games and movies work. Of where it's obviously, I hope this isn't just a jump scare fest, because if it is, I'm not going to like this game at all.
Or is it all about the twists? What a twist.
Maybe. But it's one of those things that he seems like he is, you know, obviously he seems knowledgeable, because if he's watching horror movies basically 24/7, like, especially if, you know, he's watching some of the older ones where it's more atmospheric horror. Yeah. And especially just from what we saw in the trailer, that looks like a lot of atmospheric horror.
Yeah.
Of like the only three things you see is the robot, that guy, and fucking Cthulhu alien thing.
Well, the other thing, and this kind of brings in the other thing I was gonna reference from the article, is it sounds like, and yet again, for me, when I play a horror game, jumps like Five Nights at Freddy's, that gets me because fucking jump scares always get me. Like, I'm one of the most giddy people when playing a horror game. I'm always on the edge of my seat because I'm a scaredy cat, or some people may call me a pussy, one of the two. But horror has usually not been my thing. But the one thing that really, I think, adds to a horror game, whether it's sci-fi horror, whether it's a zombie game, is if it puts you in real life situations. Like for me, the one thing I think of is the last scariest, like scary-ish game, and I use air quotes, is Days Gone, because that one wasn't necessarily like, wow, this game is scary. It was more of like that game had a gameplay aspect to it that really got my adrenaline pumping and put me into a mode to where it's like, oh shit, I feel like I'm in the character's shoes trying to get away. And that's the zombie horde, where it's like hundreds of zombies that you see either in a cave or in a abandoned barn. And it's like, okay, how am I fucking going to kill these things? Like, how am I going to get past this? Because once they start chasing you, holy shit, that is an experience that any single person can put themselves into. Because I feel like at one point or another, whether it was playful or actually serious, we have run from something before. So we know what that is like. And Schofield kind of references this in a way, more like with the setting and everything. And he says, let's see, is this the one I was talking about? No, that's not it. Basically, what he was referencing is that, you know, it takes place on Callisto, which is, oh, here it is. Schofield said he wanted to ground the Callisto Protocol in some semblance of reality. That's why his studio's third-person survival horror game is set on Callisto, and will use the moon's real-life properties to ground the fiction. Schofield noted that Callisto is a far-off location that man could conceivably colonize one day, and mentioned the moon's subsurface ocean of water, not quite a hint about the game's story, but what creator could resist the horrors of a space ocean hidden 100 kilometers beneath the surface of an alien world? So, like, to me, that's what I like. Kind of ground it in reality, because the more you get away from reality, the harder it is to keep me to where it's like, well, I'm not scared of that because none of this is fucking conceivable to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that part's fair. Obviously, I think some forms of like unrealistic horror are also good. Like that's where you get like a lot of like the I almost said psychedelic thrillers and stuff like that. That's not what it is. It's like it's more of like the ones of games like Layers of Fear and stuff like that. Like games like that. It's pissing me off that I can't think of the name for what type of horror that is again. It's like psychological horror or something like that.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that has a place as well. Of where, for instance, I think like that's personally my favorite type. And obviously, it sounds like if we're gonna be doing stuff with oceans, we're definitely playing into the fucking fear of the ocean, right? Like,
we've got to.
Yeah, you can't tell me that we just so happen to pick the moon that has an ocean on it when on Earth people are terrified of the ocean because we know more about the surface of the actual moon than we do the ocean.
But the one thing I will throw out there too, and I did look up, so psychological horror is the exact definition, is a subgenre of horror and psychological fiction which a particular focus on mental, emotional, or psychological states to frighten, disturb, or unsettle its audience. I just think, though, that, like, for me, a psychological horror game is kind of like pick any game that you see Markiplier play for his horror games, where it's more of like I think of the stereotypical, like, oh, it's a computer game, it's more of an indie game of anything, kind of like correct me if I'm wrong, Amnesia might be a little bit more on the... Would that be, like... I'm trying to think.
That was more atmospheric horror.
Okay. I'm going to look up, let's see, psychological horror games.
They're going to toss Amnesia in there. That's like the farthest thing from it. It's just they'll count it because they want to throw it in there. Like Layers of Fear is psychological horror.
The ones that Google put on here is... So, like, yeah, they do have Amnesia, the second one. But, like, they have Outlast on here. They have the Silent Hill games on here. Resident Evil 7, is that really a psychological horror game?
It's more of they just try to have you be unnerved.
All right, they do have Dead Space on here. Obviously, Phasmophobia, which basically just came out. Which
you mean Phasmophobia?
Phasmophobia, thank you. The Medium, which looks like it could be diving into that. The Xbox game that has you kind of diving in between two worlds. But, like, I'll ask you, because you play Dead Space, if you're looking at the Callisto project, do you want it to be a psychological horror game? Or do you want it to be some other type of horror?
I think I want a good mixture with it. Because the thing with Dead Space was there were parts of the Dead Space games that, like, fucked with you, not mentally, but, like, they made you very uncomfortable because one of the most infamous scenes from Dead Space was you had to basically do laser eye surgery on yourself.
That is something to where it's like shit, especially with me. Like, that would fuck with me.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've seen the scene before.
Nope, I have not.
It's fucking brutal when you fail it.
So I am worried to watch it, Soapy, because I will tell a real life situation here about this is also how much of a bitch Ricky is in real life. When I worked my old job as a counselor at a college, we were in the conference room celebrating someone's birthday. All we were doing was sitting around tables talking, Soapy, eating some cake. And one of my coworkers was asked about the LASIK eye surgery that she had gotten. And she was going into detail about the surgery. And by hearing her talk about it, I put myself into that situation, and I almost fainted right there at the table.
Oof.
That's how I am. So I don't know how good I would have done with that scene.
Yeah.
I'm also not good with hospitals and shit, so maybe that was it. Maybe I was like putting myself into a situation and like thinking about the laser going into my eye.
Yeah, you probably would not have done too good with that.
Also, Sap in Twitch chat says another game that's a great horror game is Alien. Alien Isolation, seeing the fact that you are literally defenseless. He also mentioned, he or she mentioned Silent Hill as well as a great example of a horror game that can balance jump scares and psych horror.
Defend yourself.
What?
You can technically defend yourself in ISO.
Okay.
Because throughout the game they give you tools.
I never played Alien ISO. Yet again,
I
haven't played a lot of horror games.
Yeah, like I'm not going to bash them. Like they have a point. Early on, there is no way to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Stuff to fight off the androids.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get the fight stuff off, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's going back to the whole like what type of horror game it should be. I think it should try to mix it. Obviously, if they're gonna be doing stuff with the ocean, if you're really fucked up in the fucking ocean, if you really want to scare people, because with Alien Isolation, like I'm happy that game got brought up.
Yeah.
Because I'm partially claustrophobic. Like I hate tight corridors and stuff like that. There's straight up points in that game you have to crawl on these tight ass vents.
Ooh.
And the whole time I'm just like, oh no.
See, I'm not claustrophobic. Like my big thing is when I see tight spaces and stuff, I put myself in the situation, and my fear is, the way I describe it is, I have the fear of being Winnie the Pooh. And if you don't know what that means, think of when he was trying to get in or out of Rabbit's house and he got stuck. That's my fear, is going through a small like corridor, and because I'm a big guy, fucking getting stuck and not being able to get out. That is where I would panic. And that's where it's like some of those, I kind of get antsy as well. The last quote I wanted to mention, though, from the article is, it says, while Schofield wouldn't expand much on how the Callisto Protocol will actually play when it's released in 2022, yet again, we won't get this for about 2 years now, he did draw the occasional comparison to Dead Space during our chat, and how his next game will both honor it and stand apart from it. Here's the exact quote. "You know, I have a particular style," he said, "and I can't get away from my style. My style has grown and maybe matured a little bit, but it is my style. I'm sure there'll be some familiar vibes within the game. It's hard for me to step back and go, oh, I've got to make this different than that idea on Dead Space, and make this different and this different. I'm just going to make a game with 10 or more years of experience. What have I learned? What am I doing different? You know, it's just got to, or it has to just be natural." Soapy, is there a little bit of a fear with this? You have played Dead Space. I have not. So you can properly answer this question. Should there be a little bit of a fear, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, that, oh, the Callisto Protocol, it's just Dead Space 3?
I'm not worried of it. It's just because it's one of those things that I think they've really saw a lot of the backlash that Dead Space 3 got.
Yeah.
Of where it was literally like, oh, this game's not scary anymore. Like, Dead Space left its roots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's the point that... I think that's something they may have learned from.
Okay.
Of... like seeing that they're just into like a shooter who just so happens to have horror elements in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think seeing that happen to their game, I think that after all these years of experience, especially with it being a passion project, they may try to recreate that same type of atmosphere that Dead Space 1 had.
Mm-hmm.
I was Dead Space 1 is such a fantastic game, and the reason why is just that feeling you have while playing Dead Space 1
Yeah.
of you're the last living person on that entire ship. I mean, obviously there's other living people, but like, you don't know that.
Yeah.
Like, you're the last living person on that ship. You're stuck with these aliens that you have no idea how they work. It was just the fact that they just decided you have plot armor coming out the fucking wazoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, the one thing I will jump in and say, if you're watching right now and you're noticing some cuts on Soapy's end, sometimes that happens with Soapy's internet. Just want to let you guys know so you're not like, whoa, what the hell is that? I'll let you continue though, Soapy, because it sounds like you were done, but I think that was just an internet gap.
No, I was just saying. So it's basically just that I think they're going to go back to their roots as a company that is looking to make a horror game, especially because like I know the one that almost came out with PT, like that one was going to be really good if it came out. It ended up not coming out, and I don't remember the last. I don't want to say good horror game because there have been good ones, but none that like stand the test of time. Because like a few of them, like they come out and it's just like, okay, cool, they're scary for like a month, and then once you get tired of seeing the shit, it's not scary anymore.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Like I think, and obviously, I think it can be up there with those types of horror games. Like I think it can rival a game like the old Resident Evils, the old Silent Hills, like the original the Outlast. I think it can be up there with those types of games of like, this is genuine horror that like is remembered. And I can't wait to see where it goes.
Soapy, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor before I move on into our next story. Leave the call, join the call, see if that does anything.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully that works for Soapy, just because you were getting a little bit caught up on that last one. The last question that I'd asked. But no, the Callisto Protocol, like, I had not played Dead Space, but I'm excited for it. I'll probably give it a try because it looks interesting, and I can't, like, this is stuff that I like to see, where it's like, hey, I made this game, I want to do something like it, but I don't want to make the same exact game, and we can see what type of a game we get in 2022. From Striking Distance and Crafton. Next thing we're going to go into, though, is a little bit of Fortnite, Soapy. And there's some controversy, or maybe I'm just thinking it's controversy. I'll let you guys decide. But Fortnite has a new game mode, Soapy. It is called LTM. And basically... okay, so it's a limited time mode. I'm an idiot. Limited time mode. It's called The Spy Within. I'm going to ask you if you've ever heard this before. You ready, Soaps? The Spy Within features 10 players working together to determine who the two spies are in the match. Sound familiar? These two spies must try to eliminate other players without revealing their identity, and they must do so before the other 8 players, the agents, determine who is a spy. Soapy, have you ever heard of that type of game before, or know a game that kind of has that same game style to it?
It's almost like Fortnite's done this before.
Have they?
Where they've just from other people.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, it's Among Us. It's basically Among Us for Fortnite. And for me, the article goes on to say that's not where the Among Us similarities itself a variation on the party game Werewolf end. As you can probably guess by this point, the agents are tasked with completing various objectives on the map to earn gold coins to win. None of the players can speak to each other during the game unless a meeting is called, at which point voice chat can be used to discuss who may or may not be a spy. During a meeting, players can vote someone out, and that person will be eliminated. Soapy, for me, I have a problem with this just because of what from what I read. And the reason I have a problem with it is I hate when games do this to where it's like, I get why Fortnite is doing it to where it's like, oh, we want to stay king of the mountaintop, king of relativity, of we want to be the most relevant thing out there, and Among Us is kind of taking some spotlight away from us. But it's like, Fortnite, this ain't your jam. It's like, I don't mean to be LeVar Ball here, but Fortnite, stay in your lane, bro. Stay in your lane. Like, you're a battle royale game. You are not a deceptive game like Among Us. And like, for me, I just look at this and I go, yeah, I know they're making it a limited time mode, which will be gone before that. But it's just, for me, I think this points a bad light at Fortnite, points a bad light at Epic, to where it's like, why should you, like, you're better than that, bro. Let the people copy you because you're so good. Whenever people have copied Fortnite, we've put a bad light on the copiers to where it's like, oh, you have to copy Fortnite because you can't come up with an original idea on your own. Fortnite, you look just as bad. What, you can't come up with an original idea on your own? You got to go to Among Us to steal their gameplay, to try to get fucking players that might be playing Among Us that are not playing Fortnite anymore? Soapy, I don't know your thoughts. I don't like this. I think it's bad on Fortnite, and it's just a bad image on them for copying a game that's not even in their sphere.
Yeah, by the way, I'm definitely just going to be cutting out an absolute shit ton. My internet's having a stroke.
You're good. You're good.
It's getting fucking bad.
Okay, you're good.
But it's not the first time Fortnite's stolen ideas from people, and it's not going to be the last. They're going to do the exact same thing over and over again. But a popular idea is going to pop up. It'll be more popular than what the Fortnite was for a temporary time. They'll copy it. The 8-year-olds who don't play any other game besides Fortnite are going to be like, wow, that's such a cool idea. I wish other games would do that. See another game that came out before Fortnite, and you get the fucking 8-year-old army that has one too many chromosomes. I just decide to just be fucking annoying. It's one of those things that I don't like that Fortnite does it, but it's one of those things no one stops them.
Like,
oh, they're gonna keep doing.
So I'm gonna cut you off for a second because for me, there's a way they could have done this though and not had it look bad. Like, they could have been like, okay, it's gonna be a mode where you have 10 people, 2 spies. You gotta find out who the spies are. First off, killing is different because you're basically playing in the gameplay of Fortnite. So it's not like basically like animations and stuff. It's basically like, oh, boom, I shot you with my gun, you're dead. Kind of a situation. Yet again, that creates a different atmosphere because it's like, if I'm over here doing a task, oh shit, I heard gunfire over there. I should go check that out. Kind of a situation. To where it's like, there were ways in my mind that Fortnite could have taken the idea and evolved it within their game. But it looks like they said, nope, we're just going to take your idea, cookie cutter, same thing, not change it at all.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. Fortnite copy and paste something, and people are going to eat it up like it's fucking lunch.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's horrible. Like, this is horrible.
Fortnite's going to keep doing it.
Yeah, they're just going to keep doing it. So, yeah, that was a mini thing, just mini rant also by me. Also, I apologize because of what Soapy said. I apologize if Soapy and I start talking over each other. I gotta get better knowing what are the pauses and what are the cuts from Soapy. But Soaps, the next thing we will talk about, the next kind of major thing before Shorty and a Goodie, is EA has announced today that they are buying out Codemasters. And if you're sitting there going, Ricky, who the hell are Codemasters? And what does this mean for EA? I've got you covered based off of Video Game Chronicles. Article says here, Electronic Arts, EA, has confirmed that it reached an agreement with the board of Codemasters for the recommended acquisition of the UK-based Dirt and F1 publisher. Following media reports on Sunday, EA announced that it's made an offer of 604 pence, about US 798 per ordinary share of Codemasters, which values the company at US $1.2 billion. The Codemasters board recommendation for Take-Two's previously agreed offer, which valued the company at about 980 million, has been withdrawn, it said Monday. In its own statement, Take-Two acknowledged Codemasters' decision to change its recommendation in favor of EA. Take-Two is considering its position in relation to Codemasters, and a further announcement will be made when appropriate. Codemasters is the publisher of racing games, including Dirt, F1, Grid, and Onrush. The company has also recently secured the rights to the FIA World Rally Championships, WRC. And in 2019, it acquired Slightly Mad, the developer of the Project Cars series and Fast and the Furious Crossroads. Soapy, the thing I want to ask you with this is, does this mean EA, by basically buying out and getting Codemasters, is this EA's way of telling us they are going to be working on a racing game and releasing a racing game sometime in the future?
I mean, I'd hope to God, if you're buying a studio that specializes in racing games, you're going to use them for racing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, JD even says on Twitch that it's awful for F1 games and makes him extremely sad.
Yeah. I mean, this is the whole thing, though. Knowing EA, they're going to fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to assign them to some game that they've never made before. They're going to be like, oh man, dude, I bet you guys can't wait until you see. Watch you make a Monopoly game. But it's not going to be Monopoly up this train. Sorry, that's my hype train for fucking EA Monopoly, where I have to pay actual money to buy the property.
Yeah.
But it's not going to surprise me, like, if they do come up with a racing game, and it's mostly because, like, EA has kind of turned it around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're still a bad company, but, like, they're making strives to be better at what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I think them trying to maybe not like another cash cow, but trying to kind of be like, oh, okay, these are like the safe games, like we can come up with one of these like once every 2 years, we're good.
Yeah.
With a racing game, that's probably what they're going to do. Is just bring them on and have that studio work on that.
Yeah. I mean, this is something to where, if you're, like JD said, if you're an F1 fan, I don't know if I'm exactly happy about this. And the reason why I say that is, if you play F1, if you play Dirt, like, this to me just seems like EA is going to take them, put them into the repetitive pool of like Madden and NBA Live and like that kind of a scene. It's like, we're just going to make the same game every year. Here's your fucking slate. Here's what you got to do. And we're just going to make the same racing game every single year. Like, is it bad for EA to have a group on board that can make good racing games? No. However, are they going to let them do what they want to do to make a good game? Or will basically the people from Codemasters that they're bringing in, will they just be able to, it's like, hey, you know what? You got to follow these strict guidelines because it's an EA game now. It's not a Codemasters game. Or will EA say, fuck it, we just bought Codemasters to get the Dirt and F1 properties. We don't even care about you guys. We got our own people that can do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to stick with Codemasters. I don't think they're going to really do... Or hell, maybe they merge companies if they do have another racing group. Mm-hmm. Maybe they decide, like, oh, you know, if they have like a Codemasters, and I think they have the people who made Need for Speed.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have them. Like, they can just merge the studios, find some stupid way to fucking combine their names, so it's a dumb studio name now.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, hey, here you go. You guys know racing? Do racing.
I do agree with JD. There will be a special F1 game plus wheel and pedal combination in order to kind of get more money out of consumers and package things together. But yeah, like, to me, it's like, oh yeah, a racing game is coming to EA, but I don't know if I should necessarily be excited about this. And that's kind of where my thoughts are. Soapy, before we move on, do you have any final thoughts on this?
Nope.
Okay. Next thing I know you are going to have, so shorty but a goodie, we're starting out with a kind of a medium story. Vin Diesel is now a developer for Ark 2. Here's the details. As detailed by The Hollywood Reporter, Diesel will act as the president of creative convergence at Studio Wildcard, as well as playing the character Santiago, described as a freedom fighter who will appear in Ark 2 and Ark the Animated Series, which was announced alongside the sequel during this year's Game Awards ceremony. Diesel said in a statement that he is excited to join the Studio Wildcard team to develop the story both in-game and in the animated series. Studio Wildcard CEO Doug Kennedy also added that Diesel has played 1,000 of hours of Ark Survival Evolved and understands the game intimately, which explains last week's surprise trailer appearance. It's worth noting that this is not Diesel's first foray into game development. The Hollywood actor founded Trigon Studios in 2002, which contributed to the development of Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, Wheelman, and Fast and the Furious Crossroads. Soapy, I will just ask you, is this a good thing that Vin Diesel is now a developer for Ark 2, or is this something we need to meme to death?
Like, we need to just meme the ever-living hell out of this. Like, there's no way in hell. Like, the fact that, one, they were like, oh, Vin Diesel's going to play this character in Ark. Do they not know the purpose of Ark is, oh, I don't know, a fucking left, but with dinosaurs and guns?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a fucking NPC running around.
So, I'm going to ask you, because you cut out, so I'm going to take this time to ask you. So, because I've played over thousands of hours of World of Warcraft, I can become a WoW developer, right? Is that how this works? I'm intimately, like, I've played so many GG hours of World of Warcraft that Blizzard called me up. I'm ready to be a dev now.
Dude, fuck it. You may as well put your application in now and just have that be your only qualification, is you played a lot of fucking time.
Man, I played a lot of the game. I know the game intimately.
Yeah, dude, I don't fucking get it. The argument that, oh, you played so many hours. Oh, what do you fucking do? Obviously, if you played many hours, you'd know you're not supposed to have fucking... God, dude, I hate my fucking internet so goddamn much.
You're okay. Keep going. It's a struggle sausage today. Let's go.
But like, I just hate the fact that you fucking basically may as well have damn near paid for him to be in it. You may as well just fucking bring him in.
Yeah.
But like, just have him be in the animated series.
Yeah.
Don't have him be in the actual fucking game, because that implies that we're probably getting NPCs, and I don't want NPCs in Ark.
So,
because I don't want to have it where I have to wait for the NPCs.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Soapy. Isn't Ark kind of like, oh, what was that ocean game called? Fuck, what was it called? Markiplier played like a million. Yeah, Subnautica. Isn't fucking Ark just like fucking Subnautica, but on land? You build a hut, you build a fire, You're basically trying to survive in the world, or am I thinking of
It's
something
more like
else?
Minecraft.
Yeah, like you gather wood, you
It's
build
more
a
like
hut on the
Minecraft.
beach, you go fucking tame a dinosaur or something, or you gotta fight dinosaurs. Like, isn't that what Ark is supposed to be?
Yeah, I don't know why we're getting NPCs now.
Yeah, I have no idea. What we will do because of your internet, though, Soapy, is the next thing we're going to do for Shorty But a Goodie, we'll push to tomorrow because we can. And we'll just do the most urgent one and end the show. Gen Con made an announcement today. The tabletop gaming convention that our own Dave Oster has even been to, and so it's a great time. Here's what they have to announce. Organizers for Gen Con, the largest tabletop gaming convention in the United States, plans to bring back the in-person event in 2021. On Tuesday, organizers announced dates for next year's show, August 5th through the 8th, at the Indianapolis Convention Center. Our goal for the new year is to hold Gen Con 2021 as planned in person, Gen Con organizers said in an announcement. We're working towards that objective with health and safety as our top priority. A variety of factors need to come together for a physical convention to be feasible, and we're carefully monitoring local and national safety and travel guidelines, health data, resource availability, and the advice of our finest sages, scientists, and sorcerers. Soapy, I'll just ask you, does this happen in person?
I think it depends on what time they try to launch it.
So the dates they have is August 5th through the 8th.
That's kind of like the gray area of where it's like, if it was early 2021, hell no.
Yeah.
Because once again, we don't know when everyone's going to start getting the vaccines.
I mean, we say everyone's saying April, but we don't fucking know. Like, kudos that the first ones are getting to the special like frontline workers now, but I don't know when it's going to be available for me.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that I think right now, I would say aim for late 20. You don't want to have a convention like late or anything, but it's also you got to kind of suck it up.
Yeah.
Of we're living in a world right now that you kind of have to just accept if shit doesn't go your way. You can't take your ball and go home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd love Gen Con happened. I probably wouldn't go, but it'd be cool to see what would happen.
Here's my thought with it, though, and this is the big thing of, yet again, we don't know when the vaccine is going to be available for everyone. We don't know. First off, we don't know how long it's going to take for everyone to get a vaccine. B, we don't even know how long it's going to be until it's like, because scientists are even saying, everything I hear from the news and stuff is that we're going to need masks well into 2022 even. Like, a vaccine doesn't mean, okay, I got the vaccine, all right, COVID be gone. No, your body has to build up an immunity to it, and you can still pass on COVID even if your body builds up an immunity in itself, to where I also feel like, and yet again, the NFL and stuff and other sports events, like I heard the NBA today is planning, Sham said that they are really planning by May and June to have fans in some capacity at games. My biggest question, though, and this goes for that, it goes for Gen Con, it goes for PAX, who we've also talked about wanting in person. What's going to be the kind of, how do I put this? The willingness of people, where are people going to go, well, I've got the vaccine, I'll just wear a mask and go? Or are there going to be enough people that go, yeah, you know what, I'm going to skip Gen Con this year. I'll wait 1 year, I'll go in 2022. Like, that's the thing. Are there going to be people that are a little nervous of like, all right, I got the vaccine, I have to wear a mask, I can go out and live my life, but hey, going to a convention where you got so many people packed into one area, how many people are going to feel safe going to a convention like that?
Honestly, I have no idea. I mean, dude, hell, we already saw people didn't wear masks when they were told, like, hey, we don't have a vaccine.
Good point.
And now there's going to be a vaccine, they still tell you have to wear a mask. I can't wait to hear that whole fucking that never argument. I mean, there's going to be people who want to go. There's going to be people who decide not to. Like, it's just going to be a mixed boat.
I mean, JD has a good point. People are already over COVID, so I don't think that'll be an issue. Like, I think there will be some people that are just like, I might be one of them, to where it's like, hey, I got a vaccine and stuff. I'm not afraid to go out in my everyday world, but hey, you know what? I'll skip the convention life for 1 year, and then go in 2022 because, like, yet again, we don't know how timelines are going to work. Neither you or I. We're not fucking sorcerers. We're not scientists. We're not wizards of the great beyond. Neither you and I are that. But that's going to do it for MVP Games Live. We got through it, Soapy. The internet issues could not keep us down today. We powered through it, went through it right like a brick wall. We went through it. Even though we had internet problems on Soapy's end, I thought this was a pretty damn good show. Pretty damn good show from us, like we usually have. Remember, join the Discord if you're not in it, link down below, or you can go !Discord into Twitch chat to get that. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is how you go ahead and do that. Again, link down below, or !Patreon gets that into Twitch chat for you. We're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVPvids, but we are also on YouTube at MVP Entertainment as well. Go ahead, like, follow, sub, like, all those places so that you keep in tap with MVP each and every day. Soapy and I will be back tomorrow, hopefully with some better internet. We might have to call in the lefty for tomorrow. But Soapy and I will be back. More great gaming topics for you. Coming up next here on Twitch, Dave and I will have MVP Sports Live for you. So the sports fans will gear up. We got some good NBA and some football topics for you guys today. Want to thank you for everything you guys do. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Bye.